was a good one.
Oh, we are streaming? All right. Welcome to the Grit City podcast. I am Justin.
I'm Scott.
Jeff, thank you very much, Jeff. Jeff does not have a microphone for this podcast because all of our microphones are full of athletes. We've got some of the guys from the Tacoma Gaelic Athletic Co-op. Let's just go down the line and get an introduction from each of them. We'll start from the left.
All right. Hey, my name's Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Kevin.
Alex.
And John.
Alex, go ahead and get a bit closer to that one there, and we'll be fine there.
Oh, we should have made them tell their positions, even though we don't know
But we
if
don't
there
even know
are
what that
positions.
means yet.
Oh, we can go
okay,
back.
Okay, let's start this over. Start it over again. Yeah.
So I'm still Sean, and I play full forward.
Okay.
Yep. Kevin, and I am the goalkeeper.
Alex, and I am the coach.
John, and I am the center forward.
Excellent. So this is for a game. This is for hurling, correct?
Correct.
Mhm. Now, when Scott and we were at the McKinley Street Fair a couple of weeks ago, and we were just kind of wandering around. We were gonna pass out stickers.
We did.
Yeah, from the.
Not going to.
Yep. all
I
right.
got
Did
some.
happen.
Yeah, we gave you guys some, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Fantastic
perfect.
stickers.
And those were the Awesome Grit City podcast stickers. The logos designed by the Shroom Brothers and done by diecutstickers.com. Oh, you're doing it for the camera.
I did.
Okay, I thought you were just like, why are
Well,
you
I
doing
did them
this?
too, but
oh, okay.
I'm just.
I
good
mean,
at
I
that.
didn't get one, so I appreciate it.
Oh,
Well,
I got
You'll
a
have
couple.
one before you leave, sir.
had
We'll get you a
multiple
lot
ones,
of them. And so we were just wandering around there, handing those out, and we saw a bunch of full bearded men under a tent wearing what looked to be either soccer or rugby uniforms and carrying what I could only imagine would be wooden axes.
That's exactly how I described them. A giant wooden axe.
And these things are fantastic. So we walked up to him and was like, we need to talk to you guys. And so we were discussing the sport of hurling. And you're like, you guys want to know about hurling? We're like, yes. And then Scott was wearing his Grit City podcast shirt.
I was.
And was it who? So John actually was like, hey, is that podcast still going? And we're like, yes, it is us. It is us, the podcast. And you guys were like, hey, you want to talk about hurling on the podcast? And I was like, absolutely. Can you record tomorrow? And everyone's like, yes. So it was like perfect. It was just like going out to the street fair.
Yeah, it worked.
And meeting up with you guys and knowing nothing about the sport. We sat and talked for a little while, and it was kind of fun to talk about that. But we need to let everyone know, first off, what is hurling? And it's the big question here, but
First, it's not the ice thing with the big weight thing.
no,
that goes down.
that's curling.
Right.
That's
So
curling.
definitely, it's not that.
Yeah.
And hurling is generally what you do after you go drinking too much, but that is not this sport.
Still not that one.
That's usually the two they start with first
Yeah.
before we get into it.
So where does hurling come from?
So hurling is an Irish sport that predates written record in Ireland. It
Really?
features prominently in some of their mythology. Wow. And is a field sport that's played on a grass field that's about 50% larger than a soccer field. And
Wow.
Over there's 15 players each team on the field, and over here it's 13 because we typically actually have a hard time finding fields large enough.
I
was
guess
gonna
that kind of
ask
makes sense, that sort of thing.
Because
like
everybody does football fields, right?
Or soccer.
Or
yeah.
soccer
Yeah.
fields, yeah.
So it can be a little bit of a challenge. But
that. And so predates written history. So is that just where, like, I would have to imagine then at that point the paddle that is used, and I know I'm not using the correct term at this point at all, hasn't changed much from then, right?
Interestingly, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it has a lot.
Really?
And surprisingly, a decent amount in, I'd say, probably the last 30 years or so.
Really?
Yeah. So initially, it was way more of a ground game, more closer to like hockey or field hockey or so on grass, where people would strike the ball on the ground very regularly. But especially in the past 30 years or so, people have started transitioning and adapting within the rules of play. And the style of play has changed a bit over time, which has actually led to kind of a redevelopment of the stick design.
Oh,
So
wow.
before, it was actually cut here a little bit more, so it actually appeared more like a hockey stick. And in addition to that, the sticks were usually much longer. And even today, we're kind of going through a transition period where most of the people think, oh man, I must need like a 50-some-odd inch stick, right? Because a bigger stick is just better for everything. But it's just way harder to handle, right?
Okay, yeah. So you need mobility because
Right.
you're still running your asses off on these fields.
Well, and we should actually describe that, right? Because
Okay.
I don't think we've described the sport very well, right? Like, if people don't know what we're talking about, right? Like, someone should probably explain it. It's kind of like, yeah, you got
Yeah,
that. Okay,
so
good.
so I always describe it as, if you think of lacrosse, then you're starting out in a good way. The
Nice.
ball, otherwise known as a slitter, if it's on the ground, you need to use the stick to scoop it into your hand.
And could you describe the ball for people?
It's basically a slightly smaller baseball where the stitching is actually a little more external from the ball.
Yeah, it's not soft.
No,
Like,
it's-
so I
it's-
couldn't imagine it. Yeah, it's flying
Yeah,
around.
It's
right?
about as hard as a baseball. We just don't have the mitt to catch it, so it's a little tougher too.
yeah. So what? It just bounces off your body then at that point.
On occasion out of it. I mean,
I love that they all just nodded. That was the best. They're like, yeah, pretty much.
when you've played as long as the three of us and coached as long as Alex has, you got plenty of stories of, oh, this happened with this and the ball hit this and yeah. But when the ball's in your hand, that's where the fun begins. You've got 4 steps and then you've got a series of different things you could do. You can pass to your teammates. You can hit it with your stick trying to score. One of the more fun things is to balance the ball on the stick, otherwise known as soloing. And when you do that, you can run forever.
Oh, really?
Unlimited sticks. So yeah, or unlimited steps, excuse me. So yeah, and then after that, that's basically it. In order to score, think of a soccer goal with a goalie in front of it with field goal uprights above it. If it goes over the bar, that's 1 point. If it goes past the goalie into the net, it's 3 points.
So it kind of mixes a little bit of like Aussie rules as well because they have the towers where
Sure.
you would try to score in between those, but you also have the goal as well, which you're looking more. You want to score that as well, but if you just need a point to even get
Right.
going a little
Right.
bit, you want to be able to get it going, and you can do that fairly quickly.
And it's impossible to defend against a point, right?
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
80 yards out and it's going a couple hundred feet in the air, what's someone going to do?
Yeah.
And then also, too, you can get more steps. So you have 2 possessions in the hand of your 4 steps, right? So off the hurl, back into your hand, that'll get you another 4. And then
Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but the hurl is the stick you're holding.
hurley technically is the technical
hurley.
term, but for whatever reason, I prefer to say hurl. I don't know why.
I like it.
You
I
hear
like
all
it.
the different
I
ways.
don't have a reason.
Hurl.
Yeah.
I'm with
Yeah.
you, dude.
I mean, we'll
Thanks.
call it twig.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Twig is also pretty great. And then if you're skilled or have a good surface, you can actually dribble it off the ground. Anytime it touches the ground or anything like that, it will result in a reset of possession.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So you can dribble it and run?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
if you're really good, because everyone's like, oh shit.
Well, that's
Or
the thing I'm
carry it
thinking
and
of.
run.
I was like, you technically can do that, but
Yeah, it's
like,
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often is it able? Like, it seems like you've got to have an amazing amount of control and hand-eye coordination to do that because you're running on this field. There are other people, generally between like 12 and 14 other people, depending on how you're playing it, on your team. So it means even though it's a large field, there's still a bunch of people there. It doesn't seem like this is necessarily going to be an easy thing to dribble or just balance it on your hurl as you're going along
Well,
with
and the
it.
opposing team doesn't have to let you.
yeah.
Oh, they don't. Good point. And this is. I would imagine this is. Is it full contact or?
It is all or primarily shoulder-to-shoulder contact.
Okay.
That's kind of unavoidable in most sports, though.
Right. And there's a lot of area for incidental contact as well.
But no
so-
tackling or tripping.
No, yeah.
You can't hit each other with the stick or
Well,
nothing.
right,
Because I've noticed people do wear helmets.
Yeah, they
Yes.
became
Or-
compulsory in 2010.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. Like you got
Yeah.
giant wooden
Yeah.
sticks you're swinging around.
And there's been a lot of incidental contact
Oh,
where it's
imagine.
like,
Yeah,
oh
I mean,
wow,
and the
they-
thing that you have to keep in mind is that no one wants to hit someone with a stick, really, because everyone else has one, and it's just not a smart play.
But just accidental.
Yeah,
even.
of
Like,
course.
Man, you
Yeah.
catch one of those in the lip, and it's going to hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, during our last indoor season, John, collateral damage style, actually kind of got Kevin right across the side of the head.
Oh, no.
We do have a gif of it. It's pretty rad. It's a moment where Kevin's just like, ah. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow, that definitely. You
I
heard
was,
that one.
I was coming through someone else. Like we were challenging each other for the ball, and then Kevin was coming in to support his teammate. And I kind of tried to go around the person and kind of brought the stick up around.
He said, "Fuck you, Kevin." I know.
Cracked
We
him right
know
in the
what
side.
happened. He was pissed off at you for something, wasn't
Wait,
he?
was it?
It's
Wait,
fine.
were you
Cool,
guys on
though.
the same team or the opposite team? I can't
Opposite
remember.
team.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, same team. This got really serious at that point. Jesus.
Yeah. So the thing that I think that is that at least drew me to the game and is worth talking about is I consider the description part of how it's different from other sports. So
Yeah,
I consider a lot of other sports permissive in that they tell you a laundry list of things that you're allowed to do and the way in which you're allowed to do them.
Exactly.
You talk about the fair catch rule in football. Apparently, that's several pages of the rule book. Did I catch the ball? So in hurling, it's actually different, and there's about a half dozen things that are restrictive. You cannot do this. You cannot do that, and everything else after that is fair game. It's up to your creativity and what you and your teammates can put together in terms of a game plan or skill
Really?
and stuff like that.
So what are the set rules then at that point along just like the basic like you can't you said the 4-step rule.
Sure.
So that's one of those rules that is in stone, is always part of that. But again, the creativity of working around that with the dribbling and such. What are some of the other rules that are the set in stone rules?
The biggest one is to never chop. Like that gets called almost immediately,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
out of a sheer safety thing. They actually make gloves that just cover the top part of your hand to prevent if there's some incidental
Wow.
contact.
So chopping, you're saying like with the
like
downward.
like an
Yeah.
axe,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a downward
Right,
swing.
yeah, like if I see John ready to swing and I chop down like that, like we teach our players more of a hook or stretch out and poke kind of thing to disrupt.
So the thing about the game is the ball is always in play. There's no timeouts. Occasionally there will be a referee stoppage for an injury or something like that, but the clock is always running and a ball is always in play unless it goes out of bounds. So, if John is attempting to acquire the ball, it's fair game until it's in his hand.
Yep.
So I can snatch it out of the air. I can swipe at it with my stick. So you have to be careful. You have to defend yourself pretty much at all times. But really, to speak to that, the only kinds of injuries that you might see is very, very new people who are trying to play aggressively and not within the bounds of the skills they've yet acquired.
Okay, yeah.
But to touch on some of the more important rules, you can't pick the ball up directly from the ground. So if it's in contact with the turf, you have to get something else, either under it, lift it up, you can kick it, to get it into your hand before you can do anything.
And
with it.
I've seen a little bit when you're showing videos of some of the higher league plays where it was they're essentially just scooping it up with the hurl, and they were able to do that, and that's a way to get it going.
That's the primary way you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's sharpened on the end.
Yep.
If you
Yeah.
look at it,
We
almost
actually
specifically for that.
I'm gonna go with
I don't
bev-
want to say
beveled.
sharpened.
Yeah,
with
beveled is
bevel.
great. Yeah. So they've sharpened them. They took them down to Vulcan down at Freyhouse Square.
I say sharpened.
Put a little edge on them.
Listen, if I walked around with that in public and I was just swinging at people, like people would get mad, right?
You got your cane. You got your cane. You don't need that.
I do have a cane.
Yeah. He broke his
It's actually
knee.
pretty interesting in that regard with the stick, right? So like if you actually would almost split it in half, you get kind of like a two-purpose tool, right? So like this side is kind of the lifting side. It's a little bit thinner. If you're
Yeah.
going to strike the ball on this side, it's going to kind of die. It's not really a great strike. Down on this thicker portion, you get kind of like the sweet spot in here. And if you make good contact, it drives.
It is thicker on that side, like almost like a golf club.
Yeah,
on that
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, because you can play the ball on the ground, and so that's where that comes.
Can you
into.
just like straight up do like a golf swing and just send it down, and that would be all right.
When the ball goes out on a sideline, the opposing team, they get to do what's called a sideline cut, which is where you actually end up swinging at it with that thicker part and keep it flat to try to get under the ball to provide some lift with it.
Oh, wow.
Sean actually pointed one not that long ago. He actually
It was
came
pretty
in under
rad.
it and right over the bar. It's pretty rad.
That is
he felt
tight.
pretty
I've
good.
been working on it for a while, but if you look at the Irish players, they do it like it's nothing. So the fact that I got it, I didn't even know how to celebrate. I was just like, yes, I finally did this. It's been a year.
Yeah, we had some people in the audience and like, should we clap? Was that good? And we're like, yeah.
Yes, clap, please.
that was
Yeah,
good.
clap, please. Clap,
Please do.
People can find out more information about what you're doing at TacomaHounds.com. When did the organization start up?
2018.
Okay, so it's fairly new on that term. Yeah, nice. Was the McKinley Street Fair one of the first things you've been able to do or hang out with, or like have you been able to do some of this community fair stuff or get the word out that sort
I
of
think
way?
that's been our first like booth style event like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely have some social media stuff. Right. So.
Yeah, I mean, we reached out to the McKinley Street Fair. It was actually Sean's idea, and like, this is an amazing thing. There's a lot of people there. We should go down. We should, and I wanted to find out first, like, are we a fit? And so I sent them a message, and they're like, absolutely, get your asses down. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like one of the things I think in the next couple of weeks we're gonna have some rugby players on because it's like one of those fun things. It's a sport that is getting a little bit of attraction, but at the same point, like what you guys are doing, it's that alternative sports that are still it brings out something from like just the Irish community sort of thing like that, some of the history in with that, and being able to go off and to show off some pride in those sort of terms and like this old sport. I mean, you guys actually at the McKinley Street Fair had somebody show off their pride with a tattoo. Apparently, they just started to disrobe right in front of you to show it off.
It was very fast.
Yeah, there's some buckle action, and we're like, okay, it's happening.
He's a seasoned veteran with that move.
Oh, he's done it before. So
Yeah,
he
it
said-
He
seemed
just
like
like
it.
showed
There's
off
no-
his like Irish tattoo or something like that. You're like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Just that guy waiting for the excuse.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, have you
Check out
seen
my
this?
tattoo. Have you seen my tattoo?
He went there on a mission. He was ready.
Well, and the lady he was with was certainly not holding him back.
That's
No,
true.
she-
Good point.
She was in for it too. Yeah. Were there any other rules that are like going back to the rules? I guess kind of all over the place, but that are the dead set sort of like rules. You can't grab them.
Yeah.
You have to walk, or you only have the 4 steps. What are the base ones that people have to actually make sure and adhere to?
I was gonna say, like rugby, they
You can't
they-
throw the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so
At
it's
all.
either hitting it or you're launching it, whichever way you can.
There's a
kicking it.
version of letting go from your hand. It's called a hand pass. You just like release contact, have some air between your hand and the ball, and you can kind of slap it away.
okay.
So
Oh, that's
Super
a little
useful
shady,
as like
though,
your
right?
your ditch pass, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're in a tightly congested area and you've got to get it to a teammate, you don't really have the room to like take a full swing. That's when like the hand pass comes in most clutch.
Yeah, it's got to be a definitive striking motion.
When we introduced you, we first introduced your names, then we introduced your positions. Let's go a little bit more into the positions. Now, goal with Kevin. I have to imagine that's pretty straightforward. You're standing in front of the goal. First question that comes to mind for me is how terrifying is it when something is just being winged at you?
When 15 guys with sharpened axes, wooden axes, come at you throwing balls,
Yeah.
how often do you go, oh shit?
Not often
Really?
actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I got this. Fuck you guys.
I don't know. Yeah, there's apparently something that's a little screw loose with people who are willing to be goalkeepers of any variety.
It reminds me a lot of Johnny Knoxville in his very first thing, where it's like, I want you to shoot me with this gun and I'll wear this bulletproof vest. I mean, sure, it's not a gun, but
Yeah.
you likened it when we were talking to like paintballs coming at you.
Oh, at least, yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't
It's
know.
bigger than a
like,
paintball.
yeah, what's up, bro? Are you okay?
Yeah.
I think what I really like about it is the
pain.
opportunity
I
to
like
coordinate
cry a little.
to coordinate the defensive action, in terms of being able to see a lot of what's going on the field and at least dictate what happens in the back end. And I think some part of it is it can't hurt that bad.
Right.
If you've ever been
Yeah.
actually hurt, it can't hurt that bad. And it's a little disingenuous. I've had fingers folded over backwards. I've had, I got hit in the neck with a ball before.
Yeah.
Like
Like in the front or the side?
in the front.
God
yeah.
damn. Like in
Do you
the
have like
Adam's
a,
apple?
like a protector?
Nah.
No, I want to
Oh,
hear about
Jesus.
this.
No.
How,
Right?
dude, how bad was it? Like, could you not breathe? Were you like,
Okay, yeah. So I'll tell the story.
please do, because I love it.
So we were playing in San Diego at a sevens tournament, and we were crushing it, right, boys?
That is
So
for sure true.
yeah. I guess I do kind of have a knack for seeing how things are going to develop. And so the team we were playing was actually making a really good concerted push. They had their forwards coming up. They had a lot of movement and opportunity and things to happen like that. So we had one shot come in that got blocked. Another little scrappy thing where I'm trying to fight for it and clear it out to the side. So it's at least not in front for
Yeah.
an easy like blooper or something like that. And that clearance kind of sucked. And it goes a little, maybe 2 feet out to the side. And I could see one of their players running onto it. And in my head, instantly, I'm like, that guy is going to ground strikes, like leave it on the ground and try and come through on it. And he had enough angle that it would have been in 100%. I'm not even sure I had my stick at the time. Probably got lost in the tussle. But I knew the only way that I was going to stop it was to lay down in front of it. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so I just jumped in front of it. He belted me in the neck, and the thing,
I got to take this one in the neck, man.
yeah.
I'm like, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, they score.
Well, so we get the ball out, we clear it. My defensive, guys do their job. It gets down the way, and the guy that hit me was still like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And you're like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like
It's like playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Like it does not stop.
yeah, I'm like, we're in the middle of a
Yeah.
goddamn game, and you're distracting get out of here.
Like as soon as I can talk again, dude.
I mean,
I'm
it hurt
telling
like
you,
shit.
fuck off.
Call it adrenaline, call it competitiveness, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you
there to
really
win.
don't really feel that stuff until once you're done, and then you do feel it.
Yeah,
But,
I would imagine. I'd imagine maybe you're drinking some throat coat tea or lots of honey or something at that point.
No, I mean the win was worth it. That takes it all. I mean, you know, when you talk about needing to get in front of it, we didn't. We were winning by 50. So,
You're like, I don't really need to get in front.
but it's the mentality of it. So nothing gets through.
So as a goalie, do you wear anything special?
I do occasionally wear a cup.
That's it. Just
Yeah, you only need-
occasionally wear a cup. Do
yeah, you
know
only
that?
need one of those.
Seriously? How do you
Yeah.
not wear a cup every game?
He looks at the other team and then says, "Yeah," and then he goes back to.
What kind of decision-making skills are those?
The same one that gets him in the net.
Yeah, it actually that's true because the other thing that happens back there is I don't have to run a lot. So like if my stuff is way over there, I don't need it this game.
That is such a goalie answer. That's
Yeah,
great.
right. So Sean, I totally forgot what your position was already.
So whereas Kevin's in the goal, I'm full forward, so I'm the furthest from the goal.
Okay.
So that speaks a lot about my decision process compared to this guy. So,
So you're looking for the glory. You're looking to score the goals.
yeah, exactly.
As
So,
you're shooting.
Sean is definitely one of our glory people.
so you know, the first priority is if any of our players tried for a point and it's short, then I'm there to try to clean it up or get those trash goals, as we call them. You know,
Okay,
things like
yeah.
that. We kind of do things a little differently. There's usually two full forwards. We've switched it so I'm the only one. So
Oh,
therefore,
okay.
I then have just one person and a goalie I need to beat. I've played a lot of different sports in my time, so I've got a lot of weird experiences that I've able to use. And
Really?
for some weird reason, it's created this combination that some players I've been matched up against haven't encountered before. So
How long have you been playing this sport? And, Kevin, how long have you been playing?
This will be my 5th year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sean, how long have you been playing?
this is going to be year number 8 this next season. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so when you're up there, and I guess the biggest thing for you is like, as opposed to the goalie, you're doing a lot more running, I would assume.
Not nearly as much as a few of the other positions, but
Okay.
definitely, you know, I try to kind of like how Kevin said, he sees, you know, it from the end. I can see where a play's starting to develop, and I know that if I carry my defender to a different spot on the field, it now opens up a lane for, say, John or one of our other players to go.
So
it-
you're able to see the potential in scoring and offense.
Yeah.
Whereas Kevin's more looking on the defensive end on that.
Exactly.
Part of that, part of that's like how far and fast the ball can move. So you have to have a bit more spread out vision, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, like it may almost be like, I guess, a decent comparable analogy, but like it some could be like basketball or hockey movement, but spread way out. So you've
Okay.
got to have the vision over the course of the field and across the different like lines on the field or so to know when and where to move.
And so, and since the fields are so big,
That's what I
is
was- yeah.
is it how are you communicating? Is it a lot of like yelling. noises? Okay, or just like holding up
Yeah.
the stick and hoping somebody
you
notices?
Really, you really can't take it personally, right? Because like
Yeah.
everyone either gets well, everyone is either so far apart or so absorbed in fighting for the ball that the only way to get their attention is to basically yell at them as loud as you can.
Yeah.
All right, that's kind of
You need a lot less of that, I think, as you develop a
Sure, yeah.
rapport as
Right,
a
right.
team. That's the
Yeah.
big thing, right? Forming the team, and then I know in a certain scenario that Sean's going to do this, and so that's the.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
For positions, do you do you have positions like yours? Do you mainly stay on the opposite end of the field then, or sorry, or do you run? Sorry, no headphones. So you do, or do you run back and forth?
So it depends on how many we're going with on the field at that
But
given
you
time.
do
So-
have that way, like so some positions kind of stay in one side.
Yeah, and
Okay.
like
We're
you
very
know,
flexible, I'd say, though. We do have a lot of switching involved. There's a certain kind of way that we've decided to call those switches. And I think tactically that makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you have the ball, and it's impossible, as far as I'm aware, for humans to read minds, then you have the responsibility to call the switch. And the person that you're switching with has a responsibility to cover your position. And if that doesn't happen, then I have a pretty big problem that I need to address.
well, and Alex really caters it to the players that we have and the players that we get. Is it isn't a one size fits all.
Right.
Like the players that we have on the field have allowed us to do certain things, and if they're not at a tournament, or we had one of our players he moved across the country, it's like, okay, we don't have him now, so we'll
what are we going to
adjust.
do and how are we going to
Yeah.
adjust that
Right.
sort of thing? So John, what was your position again?
So I play, I guess.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the wild card.
Yeah. So
All of it.
if it's a shorter field, particularly sevens, which is one of our favorite ways to play, I am the center. So I basically ensure that our team moves like clockwork. So I have to be there for support, especially on the wings. I have to be there to bail out our defenders with a quick pass, right? Like if they're under pressure, like I have to be within 10, 15 feet or so they can quickly ditch it out. I have to make runs forward to be able to support Sean if he gets jammed up.
Oh, so you're literally all over the
I'm
place.
everywhere. Yeah, I have to basically constantly run.
So you're just like tired all of the time, right? Or
Yeah.
are you just like one of those guys who are just like high energy and you're just running everywhere all the time?
When I train, like really train for it, it's usually pretty good. But when I'm like haven't been training as hard, I feel it. For the San Diego tournament that Kevin was talking about, I was running at least 6 miles at like a clip every week.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't do that in a month. Or
Yeah.
When was the last time you ran?
Ran?
Yeah, ran.
Ran. Like I walk funnier. That's like kind of my run.
it's
like
I've
I
been
go
probably a
slower when
year.
I run than I
Yeah.
like do walk. So I just walk
Yeah.
everywhere.
I can't even.
Well, you
the
can't
last time
because
I
you
ran.
broke your knee.
Well, it's a couple months. But
Yeah, on a
even
scooter.
before that, it was like, shut up.
Yeah. So he broke his knee on a Lime scooter.
I did.
Yeah. He drank a lot of beer and then wiped out.
Well, we
it
did.
was a successful event.
Yeah, we did. We did a bar crawl, right? Like you guys probably weren't paying attention, but you should have been. So we did the boot to boot. We started at the Flying Boots and Wings, and we went to the Rhine House, and we drank at like Camp Bar, and then the Hub, and then we did boots of beer at the Rhine House, and then afterwards I wrecked in Wright Park and broke my knee. So dumb.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So be careful on the Lime scooters, but that's usually how we get around. We're not running around everywhere as we're doing it. How long have you been doing this, John?
Started playing in 2011. Alex and I actually started a team at the University of Connecticut. So I guess since then, I think
Really?
8 years or
Is,
so.
is that where you guys have all picked up in college? Because 8 years, 5 years.
Me coming back after college, coming back here, then I started
Because
learning about it.
I mean, there hasn't been a league around here, right? Or
Dude, I'm 43.
Yeah.
I did not pick it up.
43. Like,
so where
this
did you
is-
pick it up then?
Yeah.
Yeah, here. So I originally
Is there a team there?
came across hurling when I was in the military. Flew through
All right.
Shannon on the way to airport in Ireland, on the way to Kosovo, and
Wow.
thought it looked awesome, and never really thought that there would be an opportunity to have that here in the U.S. Lo and behold, that you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
The military is kind of like college, man.
Yeah.
I was in the Navy, just 4 years. So that's all.
Yeah, congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
fuck that.
Yeah, right. Alex, as the coach, is it your job to kind of cat herd these guys, or how do you
Oh,
feel?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. How do you
For
feel?
sure.
Yeah, like, how do you feel about going in with it? So you started.
We actually call it herding cats.
Yeah, like that's actually the I guess technical term at this point.
Yeah. Well, and that's like I understand that. I've done some production stuff with my other jobs and stuff like that. So it's like I'm trying to get all of these people together, and sometimes it's literally like you need to be over here right now. Like just please move over. So a lot of the times it's just herding cats. So it's like okay, it makes sense on that term.
So I guess how we started. So John found hurling on YouTube, and we decided at the University of Connecticut we want to start a team. So we had our first meeting as a team with a bunch of people that we knew.
Oh, so you guys knew each other?
Yeah, we've been friends since high
okay.
school.
Oh, cool.
That is cool.
So I've dislocated my right shoulder 13 times and my left shoulder twice. So playing is kind of out of the question for me.
Wow.
A little bit broken. So you know,
I'm sorry to hear that.
whatever. You know,
Just
I don't have to
shoulders.
run.
Dumb shoulders.
No
Yeah,
Lime
that's a-
scooters involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, was this
Man,
were
was
they
that a dig?
Yeah,
Man,
were
what
they
are you doing?
were they dislocated while playing, or was it just like drunken college activities?
I've actually never played hurling, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
I find that I have a mind for tactics and for people and their arrangement. So that's really my job anyway, right? So you wouldn't necessarily teach a jockey to race by running around a horse. They would be on the horse.
Yes.
So I didn't really feel like it was that necessary. And plus, honestly, John is such a good first team coach that I don't necessarily need to teach people form. What I need to teach people is I need to teach people ideas. I need to be able to see those people, what their skills
Okay.
are, well, I identified Sean was a glory hunter. So like, obviously you're going to be full forward. I know what you want. So that's kind of how I do that. But I remember our first meeting, and I wanted to be the coach. I wanted to be the manager. And there's a kid that went up and he did his whole spiel. And then I stood up and said, hey, you know, I'm not going to be able to play. Just had a lot of shoulder dislocations, but John's my best friend, and I want to be able to support him in doing this. And
That's
it seems like a lot of
awesome.
fun. So I'm here to, run for manager. And then the other kid just kind of abdicated. Nice kid. But he abdicated, and that's kind of how it started. And the herding cats is necessary. It's just a thing in life, and people have got lots of different things going on. And I don't really begrudge them or disparage them for any of those things because, well, that's just the human experience. Although it is definitely hurting cats. But for me, it's thinking about what we're all going to do, how we're going to do it. And I will change the system based on the people, right? Because I'm not going to put someone in a position where they're uncomfortable, because that doesn't make a happy player and it doesn't make a productive player, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, he's going to be in the center because he's got the mind for it. He has the mind to create. Not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have the ability to make plays in that same sort of way. He doesn't play in a selfish way, but he has the ability to do it all. He was my full forward in college. He's my center half forward now because he can do everything.
Wow.
Sean will bang in the goals. He can play back to goal. He can do all the things he needs to do in that position. Kevin can control the defense in a way that other people can't. Like he said, he has a knack for seeing things before they're going to happen. Where does that benefit the team the most? Where is he going to be happiest? In a place where he can do the things that he already has the skills for. I'm going to put him in that spot.
And he's got a tough neck.
And he's got a tough neck.
And so, I mean, and when it comes down to it, now, when the games are played, you said that the time is always going. Is it like soccer or something where it's like 45-minute, half, 45-minute? How long do they go out?
35. Interesting thing
Okay.
there. Speaking of soccer, I've been thinking about this a little bit as we've been talking. When Kevin gets the ball, play doesn't stop. You don't leave the keeper alone. They can challenge him, like 100% challenge.
Really?
So you can try to knock it out of your hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All the stick defense is still in play.
They're gonna get shouldered on the line,
Wow.
whatever, you know.
Yeah,
So
it
you're
becomes
just-
just another field
So
player.
you're
at
just
that point.
trying to get it the hell out of there at that point, then, really.
It's
With
actually
the giant
better,
ass stick.
It's better before he gets the ball because there are just a couple safety rules like that, so somebody can't just go and annihilate him as he's trying to scoop the ball.
But
But
once he has
once he
it-
gets it, it's like head
Yeah,
up and like,
all bets are off.
yeah, it's like go. He's a normal player now. Go.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
If people are interested in
No,
doing
it's
this, if people are interested in doing this or checking it out, we said TacomaHounds.com. Can they just come to like practices and
Yeah.
watch you guys, or just the games
sure.
and going along like that? You guys mentioned the sevens. What is that?
So sevens is just small-sided. So
Okay.
yeah, you just play
so
on a
like-
smaller field, smaller
Okay.
team, and then 7-a-side.
And-
And they're shorter too. The game time.
Oh, all right. So
Yeah.
it's a good way to kind of get I don't want to say condensed, but
Yeah, it's faster.
yeah, a little bit
Faster
quicker
is the
on that.
thing, right? So we've had rugby on, and they play sevens as well.
Yeah.
It's
and,
similar,
and they,
yeah.
they seem to love it. They're like, it's
Yeah.
way faster. It's just more fun. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost the same size field with half the people, so there's a lot more space, and it's kind of easier to see what's going on, and put some of the rules into like mental practice.
It's a really good way for people to start out, and especially for teams that want to start as well, right? I mean, why start out with 13 when you got this big, at least from a coaching perspective, tactical problem? And also, just like when I was doing rowing in high school, right? It's really difficult to get 8 people on the same page. It's really easy to get 4 people on the same page.
Yes.
It's easy to get 7 on the same page, and it's easy to have a team that is good with depth, right? At that point, you have the culture that you want to have. People
True.
just working hard on the same page, moving forward, and then just expand from there, right?
Yeah.
Why does it need to be 100% at the beginning? It doesn't. Humans don't work that way.
Yeah, and there are subs. There are
okay.
substitutes. So yeah, because I'm
Okay,
sure somebody's
okay,
gonna
yeah.
listen to this and be like, "What? All this continuous running?" No, it's like no. There's we've played in some tournaments where it's just rolling subs, so you can sub as many times as you want. We've played in tournaments where kind of like soccer, you only get a set amount of subs, and you can sub like me out and then sub me back in, but then I'm obviously accounting for 2 subs. So
Okay.
So yeah, it's not like somebody's gonna come join and all of a sudden they're just running for
Sure,
these
yeah,
35 minute increments.
Yeah, I guess there
Well,
should
that's
be
what I
a-
heard. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'll watch you guys.
I guess there should be
absolutely.
a disclaimer on like that 6 mile thing, right? Like that's for like very competitive focus.
Yeah.
We do a good amount of just like accessible, right? Like
Yeah.
people who just want to come
Yeah.
try it out, like do just something active, right? Not necessarily be like the competitive player, but if you just want to like try something cool, have a good time.
Well, and supporters too, right? Like,
Oh, yeah, for
definitely
sure.
fans, and
Yeah.
people need to buy your gear and show everybody how cool
Please.
you are.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be rad.
And to wrap a couple of those things back together, I think one of the things about it is it combines a lot of sports that we're familiar with: baseball, the stick, and soccer, and movement. Basically a lot of games that American players would be familiar with. Yes, they don't know this game particularly, but that's also a good thing because everyone comes in at the same level. You're not
That's a
going
really
to
good point. Yeah.
You're not going to come in against. So there's we had a work softball team many years ago.
Oh, I
and-
remember those.
Yeah. And, we joined one of the local amateur sports leagues or whatever and came up against nothing but teams who were basically prepping for the next thing that they cared about. We had we played against a team that were like, oh, let's just play left-handed against these guys. And they smoked us. I mean, that's no fun.
I remember playing softball
No fun
against.
for you.
Yeah, I remember going and playing against a Hooters softball team that were dudes who were like, I swear to God, like Mark McGuire in his like prime juicing. Like these dudes were just giant bald-headed monsters, and they're just literally we managed to play in like a legit like baseball field, and they were launching them, and we're like, okay, I guess we're going to lose 30-0 because we're beer league and they are not at all.
And
Yeah,
that's
so this
fun.
is right. This is a really level playing field, and it's as much intensity and effort as you want to ascribe to it. We've got plenty of people who are only interested in playing in our internal like indoor leagues and things like that, and other ones who are really wanting to go to the next level and play out and things. So there's space for everyone.
Nice. Again, it is TacomaHounds.com. We're going to go refill our drinks. We need to get some more booze. And when we come back, we're going to give you guys some coaster questions. These are questions from drunk people written on the back of coasters. So we'll have to, you have no idea what we're going to expect on these ones. But we're going to come back in just a minute with the guys.
Mouth, Jeff, with your liveness.
I was like, any dumb thing you want to do, look it up first on the internet.
Yeah, someone else has done it.
Yes, yeah, and then I'm like, then you can live it vicariously and don't fucking do it.
See, I was going, and then get a better video angle because most
See how they did
production,
it.
yeah.
See how they shot it
Get
wrong.
those lights.
The lighting was garbage.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready?
Nope, I
You're not ready? You're
can't
like
jump.
you're like
I only got 1 foot.
I know,
can't,
you're like
scoot
terrible about
forward.
this. You're really bad at
Wait,
this.
I'm gonna open my beer too.
Ooh, what do you got right there? That's a fancy one.
A Fremont, Sky Kraken.
Sky Kraken.
I'm all about the octopus and squids today. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
what it
are.
is, so.
Yeah. What was the shirt you're wearing again?
It's Sasquatch Wrestling and Octopus. It says
Yep.
Octopus
that
Wrestling.
is rad.
Yep, Shroom
Are you
Brothers.
Shroom Brothers fans?
Nice. I saw them for the first time yesterday at the
Oh,
fair.
really?
Or
Yeah.
They do our
weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And it was so they do our logo. We do
our
we have-
Patreon shirts.
Yeah, our Patreon shirts, and then we also got the Grit City stickers that we gave you guys. Those were
Right,
done by
right.
the Shroom Brothers. You can actually get the stickers. DiecutStickers.com is where we get our stickers, and if you do Grit City 15, you get 15% off, which is awesome. We are still here with the guys from the Tacoma Gaelic Athletic Co-op. You can find them at TacomaHounds.com, and we will get to coaster questions in a second. But I wanted to talk about the fact that now we did talk before we went to break about the sevens, which is the smaller field, smaller groups of people. But now we're getting into the fall season, which is the indoor league, correct?
Correct.
And that happens at the Tacoma Soccer Center.
Also correct.
And I remember that this place has been around for forever. Like, I remember going when I was a little kid. I didn't play soccer because I was a fat little kid, just like I'm a fat adult. And I would watch a lot of people playing soccer there, but it's a great little setup right in there.
It's
It's
awesome.
quintessential Tacoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's got like the perfect, I guess, like patina
Yeah.
or like layer of grime, like exactly what you want, right?
Yeah, from the outside you don't realize it's
Yeah.
a thing. But I think do the Stars still practice there? The Tacoma
The
Stars.
reserves play there.
Oh, the
Yeah.
reserves play there. Okay.
Yeah.
They used to though. Like just a
Right,
few
right.
years ago, they practiced there.
I think they
and
just moved up to the Showware Center.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think they
recently.
practiced. They came after us one of our matches.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last
reserves.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reserves did.
Yeah, and you drive by that place and you're like, what, right? But then you see the Tacoma Stars, a banner on the side. You're like, oh, okay.
Pretty rad place.
Yeah.
It's great to go for a game, like to see the Stars or whomever is in
Right.
town. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a fun little setup. And
Get the
it's-
mezzanine seat.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now, when you guys are doing it, is it what are the rules differences between outdoor as opposed to indoor?
So my favorite one, you guys can fill in the rest, but my favorite one is definitely that we treat playing off the wall like it hit the ground, right? So we're talking about dribbling off the ground, how that would be a reset of possession. So
yeah.
if you're one of those guys who's like, I'm just going to bounce it around this person and still have 2 possessions, you could do that, which is
So you
rad.
could like dribble, like hit the wall and go around somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of like when Neo goes up the wall, but with the ball.
the ball. Wow. That's
John
really cool.
John is trying to get a catch off the wall.
Yeah,
I've seen you
yeah.
practice. He'll do a
Well,
couple
he's trying to
steps and
climb up the wall and get
he's
up
doing
behind
this-
that goal.
Like,
That's-
yeah,
neck
like-
breaking, ridiculous
See,
thing.
like what happens? Like, can like somebody like there's no rules explicitly saying that you can't run along the side of the walls.
Well, I was sitting there one day, right, and I was like, well, if the wall's grass, then if I've got 4 steps, then I should have like a step or 2 on the wall, right? So like,
Dude, we just watched the UFC last night, and
Okay.
Anthony Pettis, he does a Showtime kick where he runs
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
cage and
Yeah.
kicks guys. Go for it, bro.
Yeah.
You're a highlight video waiting to happen.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
human highlight video.
Kevin,
I've
watch
come
out.
real
Yeah,
close
no
like
kidding.
once or twice. One time I like did not have the grip on the wall, and I got about a foot or 2 like step up, and then just slammed back down on the turf.
That's great too.
yeah.
That makes great video as well.
Everyone else enjoyed it, so
nothing but win.
yeah.
I love that.
But wait until he nails it, Kevin, and you'll be like, God damn, that looks good. God damn it.
So when you're doing the indoor schedule, are the games or the practices all in there? Can people just come and watch it as you're going along and doing it?
Absolutely, it'll be games only.
Okay.
We don't have the schedule set yet. Probably within the next week or two, we'll square it away with the soccer center. But we'll probably be looking at a series of at least 7 games, and then probably Saturday afternoons or Wednesday nights.
All right.
Halloween game.
We try to keep. We try to keep.
Let's not
go ahead.
forget the
Go
best thing. So last season,
My bad.
we had a game was scheduled on Halloween. Made the mistake, of course, because not realizing, oh, that's right, some of our players have kids and do kid things, of course.
Or
but
maybe they're adults and they like to have party on Halloween.
I forgot that's a thing
Come
too.
on.
Or me, I just eat a bunch of candy and go into
Yeah,
a
that's
sugar
me too.
coma.
Yep,
But this season we will be having a Hurloween event. Now, last season everyone dressed as whatever they wanted to,
But this
some
season-
last minute. But this season we decided to go themed, and that theme is
just
Face
wait.
Off.
What? Like
the movie?
like the
Yes.
So one team
bunch
of
of
John
Travolta
Travolta
Cage.
roles
Yeah.
versus Nicolas Cage roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best movies ever made, right?
I mean,
Yeah, John Woo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Amazing.
You get John Woo, you get Nick Cage and John Travolta, basically getting into almost into an insult contest to trying to like act as the other person. Like how ridiculous it gets at that point. And I mean, seriously, like Nick Cage, I can't take him seriously in anything. So when you get him in an action movie like this, you need I need this. So when is this gonna how on Halloween?
So it'll be closer to the Halloween
Okay.
time, but once
Okay.
we get the schedule finalized, it'll definitely be on the website.
and people can find it on the website. We said TacomaHounds.com. You
Yeah.
guys have social media presence as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tacoma
everyone
Hounds.
does now, but
Yeah, you can look for Tacoma Hounds anywhere and find us.
perfect. Now we've got some
That's
coaster
what I was gonna
questions.
say. Coaster question.
Yes, it's coaster questions, and we mentioned it to you guys, but essentially what had happened is we had Flat Earther Mark Sargent on, and we didn't necessarily know how to ask a lot of questions. Or there were just questions. We just really didn't know how to approach this because we didn't want to be insulting.
Right.
So we decided to let the insults come from the drunk people at the bar Brogan was hanging out at because he had mentioned that we're having the guy on, and one dude literally was like, ugh, like got really mad about it.
I think it's 1 out of 4. I think that's the average. Like you say flat Earth, and one person out of 4 goes, "What the fuck are you?"
Yeah. And so he went around and it's like, no, we just want to get questions and we want to ask these people stuff. So they wrote them down on a coaster on the back of it. And then Brogan took pictures of them. So we kept them all. So now we've got coaster questions. And we do this with everyone. So we shot out ones about, I think we just said, what would you ask sports players? We wanted to keep it kind of vague on that end, so we didn't give them any preconceived notions about what they were getting into. And so we did get some questions. First up, and we'll have each of you guys answer it. Why do you play was the first question. So, Sean, let's start with you since you're the farthest on the left there. Why do you play?
I mean, being a PE teacher, I like to be active and serve as a role model for the students. And
Nice.
I get to tell them, like, that I play this random sport and they see it and they're like, you do that? And they're like, hell no, I wouldn't do that kind of thing. So it also gives me a little bit of credit with them, which I enjoy. But no, I just enjoy the camaraderie that we have as a team and just getting outside and running around and that, getting those endorphins that are going.
Side question on that. Have you tried to introduce hurling into the PE curriculum for your children?
So we can't even do dodgeball. I don't know if we can do.
really?
Yeah. We can go down that rabbit hole if you want. But
Really?
yeah, I've done hurling demos.
Okay.
Definitely and
All
stuff. Usually it's just the gear, let alone, and they'll hit it around and they're always like, "This is awesome" and stuff. They're like, "I'd like to do it." I'm like, "Cool,
here's your
graduate,
gateway.
Come on out." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, haven't you seen that dodgeball is bullying?
Yeah.
That is one reason.
Well, we actually had some adult sports there's an adult sports league around that does random things, and one of the things they do is dodgeball, right?
Right.
As an adult sport.
Right.
Right.
It's
So
like,
if
this
you're
is-
into it,
This
why
is
not?
how you,
Some real
as a
power behind
child,
it.
Yeah, right.
grow your perseverance, and you realize that maybe you might not be good at everything.
Yeah, sport is important.
Yeah.
Dude, it humbles you, right?
Yeah.
It lets
You
you
learn-
know that you're not the fucking baddest guy around.
Yeah.
You learn
Like,
to
getting
win.
fa-
You
hit
learn
in
to
the face is
lose.
awesome.
And that's
Respect for other people.
and that's a big
teamwork.
thing on
Yeah.
it. You just can't throw things at people.
So
What
as
the
a
hell's going
PE
on with that?
teacher,
Yeah.
like showing up with a giant like sharpened axe, does it just give you that little bit of like scary cred too? Is that what you're going for?
I tend to kind of walk around the halls once or
Nice.
twice and just be like, hey, where's your pass kind of thing.
Kevin, why do you play?
What's going to sound corny and disingenuous, but I actually play for the people. I need to be out and doing something active. I am super competitive, but at the end of the day, I really just come back for the group that we've put together. We consider it for all of us like a second family and do things and treat each other accordingly. So that's why I play.
So just for everybody else, the People's Warrior. I love that, man.
People's Earl.
People's Earl.
I love it, man. I love it.
Alex, why do you play? Well, coach, play
Also,
coach, play.
very competitive. I want to do something where I have the opportunity to be winning, and I really like coaching. I coached my high school crew team after I graduated. I kind of like that format. I like being able to teach. I like being able to get people excited about certain things, and I like to be able to give them areas where they can succeed. It does a lot for someone's life outside of the team too, right? We've had like people that definitely have had like a lot of experiences where they've been told that they're shitty or they're this or they're that, and
Yeah.
when they can be successful and contribute to a group, then it really impacts a lot of other areas in their lives. And then also too, because I think we can show that hurling doesn't have to be played the way it normally is. We talked a little bit about before how everyone has experiences from other sports. Well, everyone has this really set idea of how hurling is supposed to work. Well, that's just dumb. Because like we talked about before, right? We play one forward, not two. Okay, why would I want two forwards? You send it up to the corners where you don't have an angle on the goal at all. That's garbage space. I don't care if it's unoccupied. So just to kind of change the game, do stuff for people, and have something where we can build an organization where we're a family and where we're competitive, because a lot of times people don't have that family, and sometimes you kind of find that it's not really out there and you got to build it. So building it.
Yeah, dude, I love the community stuff.
Yeah.
But the strategic like thing that you do, that freaks me the fuck out.
Like you were
man.
mentioning
Like,
being a
you just
tactician,
weird
and
me out,
I'm
man.
like, that's
That's the word. I love that one.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things. Like even when you're looking at a field and you're like, I can manipulate the situation into going where I want it to go. That's a super powerful feeling.
And
yeah.
it's never one move, and that's the important thing, right? There are no
Yeah.
like for like swaps. So what I'll do is like if I'm putting someone on, he's a utility player, right? I'm moving him into a space and I'm putting someone else on. So the person I'm sending on, I'm telling them, look, you got to go on in this position. You're doing this thing, and you got to tell that person that they're moving into this in that spot. And
Yeah,
that can
dude,
get
you need to be
complicated,
locked
but
up. People like you shouldn't be out in public.
I get that a lot.
And John, why do you play?
Let's see. So some of it's the community kind of aspect. I had a realization probably about a year or so ago where I was like, most of the closest friends I've ever had were people I was on a team with in organized sports. Just kind of that shared kind of goal and trying to work together. I guess specifically hurling, I think it's one of the most beautiful sports I've ever seen. I think people can kind of get caught up in the stick and some of like the physical play, and people can kind of be like, oh, that's really violent, but it's really not. Right? Like,
It's like any of the sports that we have out here, aside from like video gaming, I think in this tournament. But like with the competition, it's there, and there's a physicality to it and
Sure.
an athleticism to it. But it's not the thing that overtakes all of it.
Right,
You guys
right.
have the option to be violent, right? Like honestly, it's there.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
wearing pads. It's not like hockey or football, and you're carrying around a weapon.
Yeah.
Like in reality,
You do
that's
need a player or two like that. It's a balance.
Oh, I imagine
your
it
goons.
happens, right? But like there is every opportunity to really hurt people, right?
Right.
And so it has to be like, I mean, this is my opinion, seen from the outside. It really has to be like a genuine like interest in the sport to play,
right,
and
right.
not have like some giant d-bag come around
Actually,
and like kneecap people.
I love
right?
that it doesn't have pads, right? Because I mean, I think that's one of the unfortunate side effects of some of the sports that have a lot of padding equipment is that people start to think, oh, I'm invincible. I can just ram
Yes.
into whoever, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like when you don't have pads, you really have to learn how to play for both, your own safety and the safety of the other people on the field.
It's a big thing to have with that too. Again, it's like it's pulling the punches, so to speak. But you're just not. You shouldn't be going out there to the express like thing to hurt somebody. So that kind of helps it a lot of the ways with
Well,
that as well.
I think even in fighting fighting sports, because I'm a huge fan of fighting sports. Even in those, afterwards, like they don't want to like cripple anybody. Afterwards, they're most of the time they're very respectful, right? Like it's a thing, and I see the same thing here. Like it looks like you guys go out, you definitely try to win. There's obviously competition, but like I said, you could really hurt the other team, and nobody does. So it's a good thing.
I think it's really one of the most aesthetically beautiful sports you can possibly play.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
played well, it's unlike anything else.
And you guys were talking about the bonding things. You guys have been able to bond while traveling because you guys have gone all over. You mentioned San Diego, but there's some of the other places. Where are some of the other places that you guys have gone?
Ireland.
What?
That's amazing.
Yeah, we went and played clubs in Ireland.
Oh, that's neat.
That's where he got that jersey I was talking about.
So
Credit Union jersey.
It's like playing for Pinks.
Nice.
Oh, so you won. So you now own the club. That's your club.
Literally the shirt off their back.
They just gave him a jersey. They're like, you don't own us now. That's not how it works.
So what was that experience like? Because at that point, it seems like it would be a more traditional game. Was it? Was there like what
No,
was
for
it?
them it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was ultimately validating, right? Because we held our own. We held our own with
Right.
people that have been playing it since they were small children.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
We caught a lot of disrespect, honestly, from the general populace. Like, oh, yeah, you're here, in Ireland. What are you doing?
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Is it cute?
We actually had, like
Oh,
Alex just
man.
motioned, we had people who would, make the sign of the crucifix over us. And, it's not going to be that bad.
Oh, did it hurt?
Wow.
More than it usually does.
Like you're gonna just get ultimately destroyed and
Yeah.
wow.
So, and like I said before, we had
sucks.
we
It
had
does.
rugby guys on, and so one of the guys that's active in the Tacoma, or he was in the Tacoma rugby team, was Mad Hat T. What is his name? God damn it, I can't think of it. But anyway, the guy that owns Mad Hat Tea up here.
Okay.
And so he travels all over the world, and he's like, I take my rugby shoes with me, I guess. And he goes, everywhere I go, I find a pitch and I play, and they treat me like family. Was it the same thing for you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
They
clubs
did.
were
Yeah,
amazing.
like, yeah.
that we-
Right,
that
right.
we
That's
met.
super amazing
Yeah.
because at that point, if you're getting basically shit on by the general populace, you're like, well, what the hell am I going to do when I walk out there and play against these guys? But when they're actually inviting, like you said, it's the validation of that.
yeah.
That helps immensely.
Yeah, it was a second home kind of thing, and they definitely played us as hard as they would anyone else.
Cool.
Right.
So,
That's cool.
And like the really rad thing, right, is like when they definitely like potentially don't expect you, and
Yeah.
like the look in their eyes,
Yeah.
like they're
All
wearing the helmet,
confused.
but you can still kind of see it. Like, oh no, these
Oh,
guys
these
can
guys
play.
mean that they're actually they're
Right,
not
yeah.
just a bunch of guys that were just doing it for
Yeah.
shits
Right,
and
yeah.
giggles.
Yeah.
You guys are taking it serious.
And John had a Mean Joe Green moment at the airport.
Really?
It
What
was
happened?
real rad.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Lay it
So-
on us, man.
Oh no, I just like there was this kid. So like Alex and I were waiting
Small
to fly
kid.
back after the end of the trip, and we were just at the airport like grabbing some food quickly. And there was this kid that like kept looking over at us because we were both in our jerseys. Like he was just sitting with his dad. He like kept looking over, and I had actually forgotten. I think it was like my credit card or whatever. And like the
Oh,
kid was
yeah.
behind us, and he brought it up to me, and I was like, shit, you just like really saved my ass. But like I was like wearing one of my team hats, and it was just like, yeah, man, yours. And the kid was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, dude, take it.
Life
Right?
memory.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is
so
super
that was pretty cool.
Another coaster question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite fantasy animal? So we're talking about like Pegasus or unicorns or minotaurs or centaurs.
he nailed it. He's got his. He's like, boom,
Alex,
done.
all right, what do you got? What do you got, man?
Cerberus. That's also our mascot, Bruce. But I mean, the
good
heads
call.
represent
Bruce the
past, present, and
Cerberus?
future,
Yeah.
right? Where we came from, where we are, where we're going. Oh my God, everything about Bruce is great. Also, the snake on the back, Roscoe.
Roscoe and Bruce.
Yep.
Can you sell plushies? I'll buy them.
I want
We
plushies
want to.
so
Yeah, we
bad.
really want to get that done.
Yeah, you let me know. Yeah, you
Working on it.
Yeah, we'll blast
Yep.
that on social media. I will
Plushies and
buy them.
coasters.
Yeah, we know some people.
If
with
I don't
coasters.
get my spatula that I have been
That's
trying
Oh
true,
yeah,
that's
girl
true.
spatula's important.
A reasonable amount of
Grill
time
tool.
ago,
And an apron.
I made a joke about getting, I guess, like a grill set, like branded
want
grill
that?
set, and Sean was so into it that I basically feel obligated to make that happen
Yeah,
for him at some point.
I've got a Traeger at home. I need a grill set. Like, no, you make that. I'll do that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Do you know how good that would make the burgers taste? Okay,
Yeah.
that's the taste of victory right there. That's,
Like you get Bruce on even like a meat press, right? You just
Yeah.
stamped right into the
I'll
burger.
take a toaster where it puts them in. On the
Oh,
bread.
that would be
Okay,
amazing. It's like I've got my toaster with Darth Vader and
Yeah.
Bruce the Cerberus. I love that. Anybody else have a favorite fantasy animal?
Sorry for taking the easy one, guys.
Is it like Scrabble answers where I can't have the same thing?
Oh, no, I mean, if you really want to.
I don't think I even know fantasy animals.
Dragons.
I'm just gonna go.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the one from Neverending Story.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
The luck dragon.
The luck dragon.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
God damn it.
I just think Atreyu, but that was the kid.
And Artax, poor Artax.
Oh, that was a horse, right?
That was the horse. Everyone always brings that up. It's like, oh yeah, Neverending Story is a great movie.
Falcor.
Yeah, but
God damn it.
There you go.
Falcor,
Nice.
the luck dragon.
Dude, I got a pornographic memory.
So far we got Luck Dragon and we've got Cerberus and still need 2 more, you guys. Gonna make it hard on you.
John.
If I can't go Cerberus,
You can, but it's kind of a cop out.
yeah, for sure,
right?
for sure. I mean, I got to at least offer a backup, right?
He jumped on it. He's like, I'm taking the easy one.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah.
Dick.
Dragons are cool. I feel like I'm about to potentially embarrass myself because I may pronounce it wrong. But the ones that only have 2 legs, but then the wings, I think they're either wyverns or wervins or those things look rad.
I don't know how to pronounce that either.
Yeah.
And it always makes me angry.
I want to
'Cause
say
I'm like,
I want to say wyvern.
There's not a
but I don't
word I've
think
come
so.
across that I've not heard out loud that I will not mispronounce.
dude,
I'm just one of
WY.
those guys.
Like,
yeah.
who spells anything WY? That's like the
Yeah,
dumbest.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
People that really
Why?
enjoy this
Wyvern?
reaction.
How do you say it? Everybody knows the word, right?
I guess I'd go Wyvern.
Yeah, I say wyvern.
Yeah.
I've heard wyvern before.
I've heard wyvern as well
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that thing's rad though. So
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
They are cool. The word
Yeah.
for it is stupid.
Just go with with
like
one of
platypus.
each.
Who
you
picked
know?
platypus? That's the dumbest
Oh, yeah.
fucking name for it.
By the way, just as a shameless self-promotion, go back and listen to the most recent podcast with Susan from the Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium. She tells you what the best part of a platypus is to eat because that was a coaster question.
Oh.
That's
apparently they're
awesome
really
question.
small, like the only
Yeah.
size of your hand.
Yeah, apparently they're
She
not
said
really that
most,
great.
Most pictures, they don't have anything for proportion, so you think they're like big like ducks.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they're really, really
They're
small.
itty bitty. And then also on that same point, the tapirs, which look like little anteaters, are fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like they're gigantic, but nobody ever takes a picture next to one, so you don't know these things.
Banana for scale.
Yeah, exactly. You need a banana for scale. All right, all right, Kevin. We've been putting it off.
What's the chimera? The
the chimera.
yeah, there
yeah,
you go.
yeah. So the multi-head, sort of same
Yeah.
thing, but with the different, like the eagle and the lion or whatever.
Yeah, best of all-
snake or-
everything.
Yeah, all of them.
Not just one part of the platypus, because he always leaves you with the bill.
Oh, are you a dad? Because that was a dad joke.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a bad one, man.
All right. One more question before we get out of here. How do you get in the opponent's head? So when you're on the field of play, are you trash talking? Are you
He's
like,
all with that big sharpened axe.
are you making comments about one's mothers as they're going around? Is it civil? Are you saying that they've got terrible tea sets? What's going on with this? How do you get into their heads when you're rolling around?
So I got a couple of different strategies. I think I don't know if anybody else cares as much about that kind of thing, but it's not uncommon for people to want to shake your hand when you take the field.
Yeah,
I
why
don't.
before? Why before?
They do it before?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a little
It's kind of like the fist bumps right before a
Like, we
UFC
can be
fight
friends
or something.
after, but not before.
And I'll literally say exactly that. We can be friends after, and the kind of there's a little bit of hurt, and I'm okay with that.
So he's like, I'm here to kick your ass.
Yeah.
And we'll get a drink afterwards. But
Well,
right
I
now,
think
fuck
if it's a competitive setting. Now with that caveat, if it's a competitive
Yeah,
setting,
that's fair. That's fair.
Don't stop play. Don't worry about my my well-being. Are you okay?
You already said that. Yeah.
My neck.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I'm not laying on the ground hurt, right? Like I don't need an ambulance.
Right.
Move on.
yeah, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I got a couple different strategies. It kind of depends on who it is, but that same thing, but the opposite. They do come and try to shake your hand, so I'm very mellow at the start, and I actually take them out of that competitive mentality.
Oh,
so
you
I'm
just kind of chill.
I'll sit there and just bullshit with them up there because I can channel it like that, and then I just go, and then I catch them flat-footed, and then there's always what did they do to try to do it, and it's always great because I'm not really a trash talker until they start, and then I'm better than them at it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
Sean's
like-
super fast, so there'll be times where I'm like, yeah, I got him. I'm right here. And second, third, whatever gear later, it's like, oh, really shit, he's long gone.
There's a couple moves I've used that have made some grown men fall down to the ground.
Yeah.
and
That's funny.
It's a very good feeling that I didn't know existed until I played this sport, and it's like a good chocolate bar. I'm just like, as I'm
Oh, it's the
laying around
rush.
now.
It's that
yeah,
rush on that.
Yeah.
Alex and John, you guys got anything to get in the heads of the other guys?
So I have never been a trash talker, and I just like to stay pretty in and focused. But over time, what that's kind of developed into is effectively everyone loves the U.S. 1980 Olympic hockey team story.
Who
right?
doesn't?
Oh
Right,
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Amazing
Miracle,
story.
miracle. Come on,
Right, right.
yeah, yeah,
Herb
yeah.
Brooks?
But like, but right when you look back, like the team you want to be on, in a way, is the Soviet team, right? Because I mean, those guys were unreal, unbelievable style of play, beautiful, flowing, but like also just right, like hard hit, like just great stuff.
Yeah.
So I really like to basically almost take that tact, right? Like I basically want to come across like, you know, stone-faced, like almost machine-like, right? And I just want to be everywhere.
Like
and I basically
Channeling his inner Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
I was gonna say, do you talk?
Yeah,
in
and-
the
I must be
accent?
right.
Yeah.
yeah, and I just like I really want
He
right, like I
does.
want people to be like, holy shit, that guy's there now, and then he's there, and right, and just like
There's
yeah.
no stopping this machine. At
yeah,
that point.
yeah, that's what I try to go for if I can.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let all the actions do it for you. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
solid.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that was basically what it was, right? Like, why trash talk when, like, you know, you can just play as hard as possible and try to beat them playing, right? Because, like, that they'll never forget.
Absolutely. And then Alex.
Somewhat similar, but a little bit different. For me, I want to be cold and ruthless. We can be friends after, not before. I'm not really interested in knowing anybody until we're done. I want everyone to know that I'm here and I'm in a three-piece suit, and I'm here in a three-piece suit because I'm going to kick your ass.
Really, you go in this three-piece
I
suit?
go in a three-piece suit because at that point it's about me and what I'm doing, what my team's doing. I'm not really concerned with anyone else is doing until that ball starts moving.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
I love
I'm
that.
as
Fucking
serious
freak
as
me out,
humanly
man.
possible.
I don't know, man.
He's got it in team colors too.
Yeah, I do. I got a
Oh,
team
really?
suit. It's
Oh, yeah.
rad. It's super rad. It's got that
What
red
color
window
is it?
pane, but it's kind of like that dark
Are there,
charcoal.
are there like pics online for that?
Yeah,
yeah.
he has
Okay,
been
okay,
labeled
okay.
the best dressed man in hurling.
There's
I mean,
actually-
more than once.
Yeah, it happens. But like, I don't really care if no other coaches are in suits. Like, that's their bullshit.
Yeah, I
not
feel it.
mine.
Yeah, this is how you and how you're
Yeah.
portraying
Right.
yourself in your team.
In high school, my wrestling coach, anytime we went out of town, we all had to dress nice. We all had to have at least ties. And
a big
everywhere
deal.
we went, he dressed nice. And he was always the best dressed wrestling coach everywhere. And super respected throughout the state where I grew up. So, yeah.
Well, Alex is forgetting to also mention that he is also the loudest voice when the matches go on.
Yeah.
Really?
So I saw the suit, obviously, and I'm like, yeah, I'm intimidated. You know, he's
I'm not gonna not do my job, right? So my job is to direct
no.
traffic.
This
and
is not a
people are gonna
negative,
know
but-
what the fuck to do.
I've known how loud he is, but then the game starts and it's a very competitive setting because we're in an actual tournament, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like I'm pretty sure people in the other county must have heard him and stuff. And he's coaching. He's a damn good coach,
Yeah.
and he tells us what to do. And I've seen instant results from him telling me, Sean, move over there. And then I score like 7 unanswered points, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm listening to everything this guy says.
Yeah, and
Every
you need
word,
that. You need
yeah.
the eye in the sky essentially to be able to do that and point out and see what you can't see because you're in it.
Like if he has a voice the following day, then he's
Yeah, it's
disappointed in
actually
himself.
been a problem a couple times in like two-day
Day two,
tournaments,
yeah.
right? Because like sometimes he's already
rough.
like blown out his voice by the time we get to day 2.
It's with a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the whiteboard. Really sure how to figure out day 2. I'm working on it. I
Working
know
on it.
Lozenges.
Seriously, throat coat tea, lots of
Yeah.
honey. Just go with that, and it'll help a little bit
He's
at that
getting
end.
better, just like us. That's
Before we get out of here, one thing I wanted to bring up: co-ed. How do you guys approach co-ed? If females wanted to come and participate, how are they able to participate with you guys as you're doing it? How does that work out?
Yeah, 100% welcome. We've got several ladies on the team already. The eventuality is that once we have enough that they can comprise their own side, then they can play externally as, a cohesive, coherent, ladies side. We'll need some numbers for that, but any of the internal stuff and practices and things of that nature, 100% welcome.
So more than welcome to come and try it out, see if it's something they want to
Yeah.
do, and then run and practice, and then if they can get people into it, then they can create their own team eventually.
Like
on that.
the indoor league's totally co-ed, right? Like
Oh, perfect.
Because like that's internal, right? So we just do it our way.
We
Yeah.
can't control things outside of ourselves. So as far as we're concerned, obviously we're co-ed, right? And
Yeah.
the rest of the world can do whatever they want to do.
Right on. That is perfect. And again, TacomaHounds.com. You can get information. Once the schedules go up, you'll find all of that there. If people have specific questions, they can just hit you up on like Facebook, or is there an email, or is it just contact information on the site? A good way to kind of go about that.
They can contact us on the website, I believe.
Yeah, there's a contact form
Yeah.
on the website.
Perfect. Seriously, guys, thank you so much for spending some
thanks for
time
having
with us.
us.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get you on. We're gonna have to go check out a game. Like, I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah, for
excited
sure.
for all of this. And like, seriously, thanks for going to just to the street fair so we could like see it. It was
Yeah.
like total happenstance. And
Yeah,
then,
we would have never found you guys if you guys hadn't went there. Like
Yeah.
I would have never looked this up online. And it's not even in my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, I didn't even know about this. So the fact that you were there and putting yourselves out there, we were able to see all this. And it's like, I think that's one of those things that we've been wanting to do with the Grit City podcast. We want to see all the stuff that people are doing in Tacoma. And a good way to do that, if people don't know that we don't know about these things, send us an email. Like info@gritcitypodcast.com will get us all of that information. Let us know, like if it's athletics, if it's arts, if it's maybe a little less on the hip hop groups.
Whatever, man. I love the rap groups.
Okay.
Dude, we have so many rappers that hit us up. Rappers hustle. There's
Yeah.
Dude,
They
they
got
hustle
that
like
hustle.
nobody else.
Yeah. So they got all the hustle on that. But we would love to see anything that's happening in the Tacoma area. It's just like one of those fun things. So seriously, thank you guys so much. If people want more information, like I said, TacomaHounds.com, and all the links are up on this page as well, and all of our social media, so you can link to it as well. If you guys want to help us out financially, get on patreon.com/GritCityPodcast. That will give you, for $4 a month, it'll give you the access to the live stream that Jeff is doing, because Jeff is awesome.
Wake up, Jeff.
And then also access to all of the old episodes back
Yeah.
when it was just Brogan and Scott doing it guerrilla style.
Yeah, we have about 120 or
Somewhere around
something
there.
else.
Yeah. And if you go up a little bit more, you'll be able to get some of the sweet Shroom Brothers designed t-shirts and hoodies.
Stickers.
And stickers from diecutstickers.com. And then the big one, the business one, if you are a business and you want to help us out, we'll give you a shout out specifically on the episodes, and that's the upper tier on that. You can find all that at patreon.com/GritCityPodcast.
That's the cheapest way.